about 5 minutes more. We'll give about 5 minutes more to allow people to join, and then we can start.
Excuse me, Banky, chat box is disabled. Can you just, because I cannot type any message in the chat box.
Right, thank you for flagging. IT chat box.
It's enabled.
Banky, do you think it's helpful to ask all the participants, and I mean, particularly the LDC national focal points to type in their countries in the chat box? Because in the registration spreadsheet, I couldn't tell, the country. So I think it would be helpful. Or in your, from your end, you can.
Once we start, we'll ask everyone to do that.
Yes, I think that will be helpful. So I will not type the message in the chat box.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Andulas. Maximum. Maximum no yale.
All right, Yuxin, we start?
Great.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Banke Abejiri. I'm the officer in charge of the development planning section here at the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. On behalf of and the OHRLLS, would like to welcome everyone to this workshop, which is based on supporting the preparation of the national reports on the implementation of the Doha Program of Action for Least Developed Countries for the midterm review of the DPoA. Today's workshop is meant to be as interactive as possible, so we welcome everyone to please speak up, ask questions, seek clarifications, etc. Before we get into the agenda for today, I would like to share some housekeeping that would help to ensure that we have a smooth meeting. If you give me 1 minute, I will just share another screen. Okay, 1 minute, please. Okay. Can't find. Okay, so these are a few announcements. Kindly note that simultaneous interpretation is available and it will allow everyone to be able to speak and to listen in any of these two languages, either in English or in French. You can access and switch to the language that you want by going to Language Selector and selecting your preferred language. So if you prefer to have listen and communicate in English, please go to Language Selector and pick English. Or if you prefer it to be in French, please go to Language Selector and pick French. For everyone that will be speaking, please speak slower than normal in order to enable the interpreters to be able to hear properly and to allow for any possible echo or delay in sound transmission. Also, please speak directly into your microphones without turning your head and avoid moving the microphones around. If you're not speaking, please you mute your microphone from your personal laptops or your phones or any other devices that you might be using. Kindly mute so that there will be no interruptions. Also, before the next person speaks, we'll have a brief pause as there might be a slight delay due to different languages being spoken. While we're having the event, please, can you kindly silence all sound notifications? So if you can kindly put your phones or your devices on silent or vibrate, that will be much appreciated. If possible, where possible, please use Ethernet connections rather than Wi-Fi for participants joining, if it is possible. And also for those joining online, if possible as well, please use make sure that you have really good microphone, high quality microphones so that we can hear properly your interventions. All right, and as much as possible, please let your backgrounds be a solid color to keep visual distractions to a minimum. And we will be staying here for just an hour, 50 minutes now. And during that time, we would have the interpreters with us. Thank you so much. So these are some of the housekeeping. And without further ado, we can now go into the main activities for today. Okay. I would like to kindly invite our colleagues from the OHRLLS to please give some opening remarks, set the scene, the objectives for today. We'll go right into the agenda for today. Over to you, Dixon. Sorry, as she's coming on, I would like to invite everyone to please in the chat box, put in your name and the country you're representing. If the national focal persons can please write your name and your country, and then other partners and participants, also your name and your organizations, that would be terrific so that we know everyone who is on this call. Thank you. Over to you, Yuxin.
Thank you. This is really helpful. I already noticed some of the national focal points putting their names in the chat box. Very good day to colleagues in Addis and to my dear national focal points in Africa. I met some of you in my missions to Rwanda, Uganda in August, and this meeting is very timely. I think the purpose of the meeting, as Banky pointed out, is to have interactive discussions. Primarily, we're in a listening mode, and to listen to your experiences and the difficulties or status of the preparation of the national reports, and answer your questions on the guidelines and provide information on the support available. So if you have any questions regarding interpretation, you can raise your hand during the meeting. Feel free to interrupt. So I just want to give you some updates on the guidelines and as well as support available to your preparation of the national reports. Before this meeting, we also circulated a group message, and highlighted several key questions, areas where we would like you to shed light on, such as the lessons learned from the current preparatory process, whether you have drawn on other reporting exercises, or highlight the approach or methodology used in developing the national reports. And to date, we have received questions from Guinea, and later after the introductory remarks, we will start addressing the questions raised by Guinea, which we believe will represent most of the concerns from LDCs. So you all know that the deadline for submission of the national report is January 31st, 2026, and we don't have much time left. This report, the national report, of course, the purpose is is required for the high-level comprehensive midterm review of the implementation of the Doha Program of Action. The midterm review, we call it MTR, will be held in March, from 25th to 27th March 2027 in Doha, Qatar. So this is the time. And then in September, beginning of September, we circulated the guidelines for preparation of the national reports, both in English and French. And the guidelines, in particular, you will notice the difference between this guideline and the ones for IPOA, the previous program action. In the current guidelines, we paid particular attention to guidance on integrating statistics into the national reports on DPoA implementation. And under each priority area, there are 6 priority areas in DPoA. Under each priority area, the guidance suggested key indicators. I think these 2 aspects are the 2 major differences from the last guidelines for the IPOA. And of course, the guidelines, as usual, provide an annotated structure of the national reports. As always, the guidelines also encourage broad and inclusive national consultation process involving all relevant stakeholders, including the government institutions, civil society, the private sector, academia, women and youth groups, local authorities, and development partners, to ensure a very inclusive process. And I think this national report is very, very crucial, because it will demonstrate national ownership of the DPoA. And this is a very crucial exercise, because the national report in the end will develop a synthesis report of the national reports submitted. And all these reports will feed into the regional and global reviewing process, and eventually feed into the outcome document of the midterm review, which will be a political declaration. issued at the midterm review to be held in 2027. So your voices will be heard, your concerns will be addressed. And the national reports are so important because through the national reports, we will hear your feedback and will also highlight the progress and achievements you have made. So this is a very, very crucial exercise. In September, we also issued a joint letter with the UN Development Coordination Office to all the resident coordinators in LDCs. We asked them to provide a tailored, timely, substantive support to LDC governments in their preparation of the national reports. And the RCO's support on the ground could include facilitation of inclusive consultations, support of data collection, support for data collection and analysis, and to ensure coherence with the existing reporting processes at the national, regional, and global reviewing processes, such as 2030 agenda and the voluntary national reviews. Recently, in late October, we circulated the monitoring framework for DPoA, which is a major, I think, step forward in the follow-up of the current POA. This is also a major difference from the previous implementation of the POA Istanbul Program Action. So in the monitoring framework, we have included a set of indicators that can be used to track progress for the implementation of the DPoA. And our office has a statistician and who can provide further information on the indicators, a choice of indicators. And in November, just a week ago, based on the demands of LDCs, we OHLLS provided financial support to up to 20 LDCs through the RCO offices on the ground to support the LDC government in the preparation of the national review, the national reports. So the RCO support on the ground could include a recruitment of a national consultant who can provide substantive input to the LDC national focal points for the DPoA and towards the preparation of the national reports. And that support could also facilitate the holding of a national workshop or consultation. So then I think it's all demand driven. And we received the request from 18 LDCs. So we provided support to up to 20. And at the end of the day, we hope that you will have a better understanding of the guidelines and how to use them and the support available. And from our side, we'll have a better understanding of the challenges and how we can work together to ensure high quality and timely submission of national reports. That's all what I want to share at the moment. Back to you, Banky.
Thank you, Yuxin, for those opening remarks, providing updates on information that has been shared already to participants and to the national focal persons, helping us to know when the midterm review will be taking place, which will be in March 2027. And before that, there will be an Africa review, regional review, and that will be communicated in due time. As well, the guidelines have been shared, the indicator framework of the Doha Program of Action has been shared, and as well, up to 20 LDCs have received support in one form or the other to support this process of developing the national reports. Thank you so much, Yuxin. Now we're moving very quickly to the next item on the agenda, which is responses to questions which have been received in advance. Open to taking questions now that weren't received in advance. As we said, we would like this to be as interactive as possible. So before we go on to the questions that we received, particularly from Guinea, I would like to open the floor to any participant from any country that might have that a clarification, question of any sort that they would like addressed. If you have a question, please, okay, I see one hand up. Please go ahead with your question. Please speak slowly so that it will help with the interpretation.
Thank you
Please go
very
ahead.
much. Thank you very much, Becky, and thank you, Yuxin, for organizing this workshop. It is very timely, and as you noted, the timelines are a bit tight for the deadline for the submission of the report, which would be at the end of January 2026. We hope that we should be able to complete the exercise. I want to believe Sierra Leone is one of the countries that has requested through the UNRCO for support for national consultants as well as for consultations, which we view very important to ensure that we get the full data that we need to be able to provide a very accurate report in the progress in implementation of the Doha Program of Action. I just where we yet to really kickstart the process, and that's my concern because it's getting a bit late. And when you look at the fact that we are now towards the end of November, and December is a very short month in terms of what we could do, I'm beginning to see that the timeline, the deadline is shrinking for us. So we hope to quickly hear from the RCO when we can effectively commence the consultation. Already we're doing our own desk review, but when we can effectively commence the consultations, I will get in touch with the colleague from the RCO's office who's dealing with that. But just to sound the word of caution in terms of the deadline, I know we definitely have to submit if the MTR is in March. Then you also need time as an office to be able to put all the reports into synthesis reports, which will be presented at the MTR. So for me, it's just to say thank you for all the support, the guidance that have been provided, and to maybe just urge the RCO to speed up whatever support they have for countries that are undertaking these exercises, so that we will at least commence some work before the end of the year and have that completed in time for the January 31st deadline. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abi Kamara from Sierra Leone, for your comments on this, basically acknowledging the guidelines that have been received, urging the RCO to complete the process of support, and flagging that the timeline is a bit short, but you are committed to getting the work done when needed. Abi, just to mention that the March 2027 is the midterm reviews. Year.
Oh, yes.
Okay, but ahead of that, there will be a regional meeting.
Yes, sorry. Yes, I beg your pardon for that. So if given that let's work within the timeline, but let's also be a bit flexible, especially if we're not starting on time the way we should.
Can I intervene? I'm so sorry,
Please,
I couldn't find my hand, so I used my physical hand. So I'm so sorry, I haven't used Zoom for a while. So yes, thank you so much, Abby, for raise this question. I think this question also applies to almost all LDCs. I think my suggestion is that to be proactive, and I think you can send the RCO office an email, copy us, so that we will be on the same page, and we can facilitate from our end to give it a push. So I think it's very important to start a national consultation process and to kickstart, the preparation. And the money is in the pipeline. I know that Sierra Leone has requested the financial support. So, so if you can be a little more proactive by reaching out to the RCO instead of just waiting for them to respond. So let's be a little bit, kind of, it's interactive process. So keep us in the loop so that, we can facilitate from our end. Send an email to the RCO office, copy us, and then we will just follow it very closely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yuxin, for that intervention, and thank you, Abby. Do we have any other questions? Does anybody else have a question, clarification? All right, Abtamu, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, first of all, I would like to thank you for sharing the guideline with us. We appreciate this. It supports us a lot, in order to prepare the report. So just I have only one clarification or just a question. My question is about its support. So what type of support is available for the countries like for Ethiopia in preparing this report? Especially, we need to recruit the consultant because already we have developed the tour and we just put our demand what type of report we need from the consultant, but still we didn't agree with the consultant because of this resource shortage. So I wanted to know about your support regarding this preparation or this report preparation. Otherwise, the deadline, the time, we have experience, especially this year we have prepared this 2025 VNR, Ethiopian VNR. So we have a good experience. We have also established governance systems. That is, we have a technical and steering committee for this preparation. So still it is a working governance system. So we can finalize with that given time and submit the report. Thank you.
Yes. Abtamu, for that question. Before I hand over to Yuxin to intervene there, where Abtamu is asking what kind of support can be provided. They have a national consultant, but they haven't finalized with the person.
Yes.
Abtamu, I like that you mentioned the VNR. One of the things that we wanted to bring out here is to show that there is an overlay between the Doha Program of Action and other key agendas, for example, the Sustainable Development Goals. And as we know, a lot of countries do their voluntary national reviews and as well the annual SDG reports. The DPoA, the indicator handbook, about 75 to 80% of the indicators are similar to those within the SDGs. So if you've worked on your SDG report or your VNRs, the information that there to use for the DPoA review as well. So that's one thing that we wanted to talk about. And Abtamu, thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yuxin, over to you, and then we'll take the next question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Banky and Haptamu. Yes, I originally signed the UN to UN agreement in the beginning of November and start providing financial support to the LDCs that have requested such a report. So we have 18 LDCs, both from Africa and Asia Pacific, that have requested such a report. Unfortunately, I don't see Ethiopia here. So the support will be provided to the RCO office, the UN Resident Coordinator's office. And the RCO should have reached out to the LDCs in the first place to see whether you need such a report. Then they will reply to us. Then we'll transfer the financial support. It's a small amount of money, up to $6,000. The $6,000 will be used primarily in two ways. First, the first way is to hire a consultant, a national consultant, who is going to provide substantive input to the national focal point in the preparation of the national report. The second way to use this fund is for the RCO to help the LDC to organize the national consultation meeting, to contribute to the national consultation process. So it's as what Abby mentioned in the first place, and as I suggested, please be proactive, reach out to the RCO office and keep us in the loop, copy us in copy so that we can help you to push, because we also give a deadline to the RCO to finish this process by the end of January, and as planned. Of course, we all understand the tightness of the timeline. There might be a certain, let's say, a grace period, but we cannot prolong the process for too long. Otherwise, we will jeopardize the forthcoming regional review. The regional review process is going to come up very soon. So we're in close consultation with Banky ECA colleagues on the time and the venue for the African regional review process. So for the funds, up to $6,000, and two ways to use the funds, and RCO office will be using the money to support you. So you need to reach out to them, keep us in copy. And yeah.
Thank you very much. Of course, RCO is the co-chair for the steering and the technical committee of this SDG implementation, because as earlier as I mentioned, we are using this platform for both Doha program of action as well as for Africa 2063 agenda, especially for the second 10-year implementation plan. So thank you very much for the information, and we'll request them by copying you. Thank you.
Yes, please do, because we have received 18 requests from 18 LDCs, but Ethiopia was not there, but we provided 2 empty slots. So I don't know, because I cannot see it from my end. If after this meeting you can reach out to the RCO to see whether they can still request for the one of the 2 remaining slots. First come, first served.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Yuxin. Thank you, Abtamu. We'll go on to the next person. Evelyn Odari, please, can you ask your question? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the flow, and apologies for joining late. Mine is not a kind of question, but it's an appreciation, because from our side, we have already received, we went in touch with the RCO. We have agreed to have a consultant, and you have been already, they are in touch, the RCO and the consultant, they are already in touch. And I have already shared all the guidelines, how the report should look like. They will support to have the national consultant and organize the workshop to have national consultations. So I think from our side, you are on a good track, and we really thank the support, because it's quite it's quite a big report that has to be prepared. So I will request my colleagues here who have not yet requested this kind of support, that is really crucial to have that national consultant to help you to prepare it. So on our side, we are on track, but I have a small issue on the deadline of 31st January, since it's just after the festive season. is there a grace period or an extension of few days so that we can have more time, ample time for the consultation? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evelyn, for the appreciation. Thank you for sharing the experience that Zambia has had so far working with the RC and the support that OHRLLS is providing. Yuxin, over to you to answer if there is some flexibility for the deadline, given that we will
Thank
just be
you.
coming out of the festive season.
Exactly. Thank you, Evelyn. Evelyn is from Rwanda, and we met her in our mission during our mission to Rwanda. Yes, thank you so much, Evelyn, for sharing the best practices, and I think that's exactly corresponds to the purpose of this meeting, today's meeting. Experience sharing, best practices sharing. So be proactive, as I said. If you reach out to the RCO, if they have requested the money, and then you can start working together. So regarding the extension of the deadline, I mean, yes, and we can give a great period, but we cannot. Hello? Can you mute the background? Yes, we can give it an extension, a short extension, but please, we cannot give, please be mindful that the extension won't be too long, because this one, the forthcoming original review is coming. So we need to prepare, synthesize reports. So, and then I understand the tightness of the deadline, but we'll do our very best. But let's strive for the best, and while at the same time, we'll discuss about the extension of the deadline and let everybody know.
Thank you so much, Yuxin, for that. And thank you, Evelyn. Apology from Rwanda. All right. Thank you for letting us know there's a little bit of a wiggle room, and OHRLLS will communicate that in due time. Now we move over to Kumbukani Ngambi. Please, for your question.
Thank you very much. I want to commend the organizers for this timely and quite helpful change of experiences, but also clarification on some of the issues that we need clarity as countries. But also, let me thank the organizers for making it clear that there are some resources that can help us in terms of consultations and fast tracking the process, so that we come up with a comprehensive report that really informs us where we are and what we have to do in order to effectively deal with the bottleneck that we find in terms of domestication. In Malawi, what we have done so far, we have been organizing meetings with the key implementers so that we are all at the same page in terms of understanding what is needed from us as a country and how best we can organize ourselves in terms of write-ups and consolidation, so that we have more coherent information to inform the process. In that regard, we have also been reaching out in some cases to have clarity in terms of what are the key indicators that we are reporting on. And with that, I think our director and myself have been communicating in terms of getting the clear guide in terms of how the report should be conceptualized. And with that, I think it's good to hear that we have some resources that as nationals we can have a consultant, but also help us in terms of making sure it's more consultative and it has that ownership of a country as we proceed. With those few remarks, I think we'll be reaching out to RCO, but also to individual institutions to support us in terms of clarity of presentation, but also maybe bring in a consultant to coherently work on the assignment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kumbukani from Malawi. Thank you for letting us know where you are in the process. It's good to hear that you've been organizing with key implementers. Just to note that you're seeking what exactly is the structure, the format, and as well the key indicators. After the meeting again, OHRLS will distribute once again the guidelines and all the indicators for the Doha Program of Action. So similar to how the SDGs have their clear indicators, this year there has been released the indicator handbook for the Doha Program of Action. So that will be very helpful for countries, even as you provide the update and review of the Doha Program of Action. Again, to note that a lot of the Doha Program of Action indicators are also similar to the SDG indicators, at least 75 to 80% of that. Later on in today's workshop, we'll be having a brief presentation on data availability. But with that, I'll move on to the next question, which is from Mama. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. Good afternoon. Here it's afternoon, sorry, coming to evening. I'm called Mark Amanya from Uganda, NFP from Uganda. I want to thank again. Hello, can you hear me?
Mark, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes. So I appreciate the organizers of this meeting and for giving us that guidance. In terms of preparation for us, we also got in touch with the RCO and they have communicated some financial support to prepare the report. We have already started the preparation of the report. We have actually the zero draft, which will be discussing with the rest of the stakeholders domestically in order to prepare for the submission in January. But I'm also requesting that if there could be the extension of the deadline, maybe for a month, it would really help us prepare a comprehensive report. That's what I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Good to know as well that Uganda is quite advanced in the process and you would have a zero draft soon, and noting and flagging as well, again, to OHRLS, a request for an extension of the deadline. Okay, so now we'll move on to Chilalu, I think from Togo. You have the floor, please.
Merci beaucoup à tous. Merci. Toutes mes excuses, j'ai pris la réunion un peu en retard dû au problème de connexion. J'ai essayé plusieurs fois. Je voudrais à mon tour féliciter les organisateurs pour cette importante réunion qui nous sert de guide. Et au niveau du Togo, comme vous le savez, nous avons eu un changement institutionnel et ça a un peu impacté sur le processus. Nous n'avons pas pu encore soumettre la demande au niveau du système des Nations Unies, le coordonnateur, pour pouvoir bénéficier de ce financement et nous souhaiterons vraiment qu'on puisse nous aider dans ce sens. Et parallèlement, le travail au niveau des techniciens, on est en train de le faire, mais on a besoin aussi de l'extension comme les autres, surtout que nous, on n'a pas encore commencé, mais on a une feuille de route. On a fait un calendrier pour nous permettre de rester dans le temps si nous avons le financement aujourd'hui. Une fois encore, merci beaucoup. Et si les collègues qui ont fait le partage d'expérience, les bonnes pratiques, si après cette séance, malheureusement, comme nous n'avons pas pu prendre le train à temps, s'ils peuvent partager ces bonnes pratiques avec nous, si Madame Yu pourra partager ces informations avec nous, ça nous aiderait beaucoup pour qu'on puisse s'inspirer de ces bonnes pratiques et éviter certaines erreurs et arriver à temps à soumettre le rapport. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Chilalu, for that intervention from Togo. We note the constitutional change that has caused a bit of challenge in requesting for support. Yuxin, I know you've talked about this before in terms of first come, first served, but I'll hand over to you again to talk about the possibility of countries who haven't received support so far and are keen to get support now. What's the process? What can they do? Is there still some funding available? Yuxin, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, distinguished national focal points from Togo. I took note of your request for financial support. As I mentioned at the beginning, I would strongly suggest you first reach out to the UN Resident Coordinator's office in Togo as soon as possible and keep us in copy. And send a message to them and then request support. They can provide support, either both technical support and also help you to organize national consultation process. And so the entire system in UN system, whether they're in the headquarters or in regional offices in Addis or on the ground, are with you. So we're behind you. And please be proactive. Reach out and keep us in copy. And then we will see how best we can help you. I cannot promise you whether there will be financial support channeled to the RCO. However, but it doesn't mean that we cannot provide substantive support. So right now, based on the questions, I noticed that Ethiopia, Malawi, and Togo have requested for financial support, because on the current list of the 18 countries, LDCs, I didn't see, 3 of you here. So let's just work together. The first step, reach out to the RCO and keep us in copy. We will do our very best.
Thank you very much, Yuxin. I believe also Uganda may be planning to request for support, if I'm not wrong, when Mark made his intervention.
Uganda
right,
has already got the support. Uganda has already got the support.
All right. Thanks for that clarification, Yuxin. Okay. The other thing that Chilalu had asked for was that it would be good to hear from countries about some best practices, some lessons on the drafting of the report. What are some things to avoid? What are some things that can be leveraged? So at this point, I'll move on to opening for countries' experience sharing. If there's any country that would like to offer the other countries, some sort of guide, what they found to work well for them and what didn't work well. We've already heard that the support that has been provided has been good in terms of helping to get a national consultant and as well the national consultation process. But perhaps there are other things that are being done on the ground, or reports that you are leveraging that you found useful. Would like to open the floor now for any country that would like to share their experience. And note, it doesn't need to be formal, no presentation, just a word or two, anything that you found important or useful as you prepared this report or even as you prepared the Istanbul Program of Action. Thank you very much. Mark, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Like I said, for us, Uganda, we decided to prepare the report using the existing government systems. We are not going to use a consultant. We've decided to take up the preparation of the report as a national focal point entity. That is my ministry, which is the Ministry of Finance, Planning, and Economic Development. In terms of preparation, we followed the guidelines. They have been very helpful, and they have actually given us a step-by-step process to prepare the report. The timing of the communication, at the time when the communication came, it was to our advantage, because that is the time when we are starting the next financial year of the government of Uganda. So at that time, that's when we normally receive or prepare final reports. So most of the data, information that we needed to use in the analysis and preparation of the report would be there readily available. The other thing is that we've just launched the National Population Census. We got a report in May. It is also helping us to get information for the report. So right now, like I said, we are preparing a zero draft, and we are finding the work moving in smoothly. After preparing that zero draft, we are going to engage stakeholders. We invite stakeholders to come and validate the report, and then have it submitted by first to be approved by the entity, the National Focal Point entity, and then it will be again given to stakeholders for validation. What are the key lessons from this process? I talked about timely preparation. This exercise has also helped us to enhance government commitment and awareness. Those who didn't understand properly the Doha program of action have actually started picking and understanding what it is all about. And then also the majority of the indicators which are under the DPoA are already part of the national statistical system of government. However, we learned that we need to continue to localize. We need to deepen the localization and invest more in getting the data gaps that we already identified. That is what I can report now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mark from Uganda, for sharing those experiences. I think it's particularly useful to hear about using the existing government systems, and I would dare to say the existing government processes. And so when the report came, you were already the process of gathering information. And I would dare to say that even if countries are not at that exact same point, there might have been a time where you had to gather information for something else. For example, the VNR Agenda 2063 second 10-year report has started. And so some of the information you've gathered for those would definitely be important or useful to be fed into the Doha program of action. And it might be worth reaching out, even if you are not the focal person on SDGs or Agenda 2063, you can leverage what colleagues in other departments have done and see if there's something that you can learn or glean from the information that they have already gotten. The other thing I pick is that the guidelines have proven to be very useful because they give step-by-step guides on what should be done and what should be put in each place. Mark, I'd like to ask, when you say you're going to reach out for stakeholder consultation, can you walk us through how that is going to be done in Uganda? Is it going to be, we're going to send out an email to focal persons in the key ministries that feed into the Doha program of action? Or are you going to have a focal persons workshop? Is it going to be in person? Can you share a little bit more for the benefit of others what your stakeholder consultations are going to look like? And what do you think will be the greatest challenge that you will face with these stakeholder consultations? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. In terms of stakeholder consultation, we've planned to have the national workshop, Ministry of Finance being at the center of economic development planning. We have platforms to invite stakeholders, and the plan is to identify all stakeholders that are relevant to the Doha program, the focus areas of the Doha program of action. We've already mapped out how many institutions fall under each of the focus areas. And at the time of inviting them, we are going to make sure that we have everyone on board. So we are going to have a workshop where we are going to present that the draft report spearheaded by the National Focal Point entity for validation, for additional information, so that we can have a comprehensive national document for submission to the United Nations. So we have platforms to engage. We are at the center, and actually it is to our advantage that we can do that, and stakeholders are there to listen and to respond whenever we want them to come and do, because of the authority we have to provide finances, to plan, and to make commitments for the stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark, for that, for highlighting that there are existing platforms already. And importantly, I like that you mentioned that you've already institutions that feed into the different priority areas of the Doha Program of Action. And so you know exactly who you need to be around the table in terms of that. Might I also ask, will there be, apart from government institutions, are you going to be involving other non-governmental stakeholders in the consultations? And this is just a question out of curiosity. Thanks.
Yeah, like I said, when we are making consultations, we have platforms for civil society organization. We have the budget advocacy group. These are NGOs. We also have the development partners group. We have institutions, subventions within government that address the private sector. We have private sector units in the national focal point entity, the Ministry of Finance. So when we want to make consultation or have issues of national consideration to be put forward to the stakeholders, we use those platforms. So all stakeholders, government, private sector, civil society, even academia, they are all involved, and we shall involve them in this process.
Thank you so much, Mark. Very, very rich experience, and thank you so much for sharing. Now we'll move over to Abby. Abby, please share with us. Thank you. Abby, are you still with us?
Yes, sorry, I think I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Thank you.
Yes, sorry, I was
Yes, we
muted.
can.
So just to say that in terms of the documents that we'll be relying on, or existing reports, we'll be looking at the development cooperation framework, where we recently we just had a joint steering committee meeting where reports of progress in the various pillars of the cooperation framework were presented. So that's one source that we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at the climate NDC 3.0 reports that we just launched at COP30. We'll be looking at the M&E reports of our National Development Plan, which really is encompasses all the commitments of the DPoA. We'll also be counting on our VNRs, because Sierra Leone has submitted more VNRs than many other countries. We've done 4 already, so we'll be looking at that. In terms of the consultations, because I already asked you, asked Mark about the consultations, for Sierra Leone, we'll be looking at having regional consultations. So we have 5 regions, administrative regions in the country. So we intend to have consultations in each of these regions, and participants will be drawn from across the stakeholder group. It will include the academia, it will include CSOs, it will include have a specific focus on vulnerable people, women, children, young people, disabled. Would be bringing on board the academia, will be bringing on board civil society organization and community-based organizations to ensure that the consultations are as comprehensive as possible and bring together the relevant stakeholders. Of course, there is always a challenge that you will not be able to bring all stakeholders on board, given the constraints with budgets, etc., and also the logistics of bringing, because you're concentrating the consultations in the administrative regions. So it means you have to bring a lot of participants from across to the centers where the consultations will be done, because we cannot afford to go beyond the administrative regions to municipalities for such consultations. So those are what we're already looking at, the challenge that we foreseen already. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abby from Sierra Leone. Thank you for highlighting the different documentation that you would be looking to glean information from, including the Development Cooperation Framework, Climate NDC 3.0, the M&E of the National Development Plan, very important, and the Voluntary National Review reports. Thank you as well for sharing, how you're planning to go about your consultations to make sure it's as robust as possible, taking a regional approach and trying to make sure you reach all the 5 regions that Sierra Leone covers. I think one thing to also think about then is, as you are doing the DPoA, what else can you use the DPoA review way you're drawing from other reports for DPoA? Perhaps you can be using this process of the DPoA to also prepare for some other reports that you have to do. Because one of the feedback we get from countries is based on the reporting fatigue and how you have to do so many reports. So perhaps this process can also help to facilitate the data input for some other processes. But thank you once again, Abby. That was very useful. All right, Abtamu from right here in Ethiopia. Over to you, please.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for giving the chance. Of course, I already mentioned that in Ethiopia, already, we don't have a separate plan. All the regional and global commitments is well integrated with our aspiration, that is a 10-year development plan. So and also we have established governance or institutional framework, that is technical, and also the steering committee. So the steering committee is composed from key line ministries. It is from each key line ministries. Also DPG, some DPG members are also heads of DPG also is members of this steering committee, and also civic society is also part of or member of the steering as well as the technical committee. Academia also is part of those steering and technical committee. So we have already established institutional framework. The other important point I want to, so we will use this for the preparation of this Doha program of action. So in the last July already we have submitted this 2025 Ethiopian VNR. So that VNR, it passes through different consultations that includes with the civic society, with academia, with development partners, and also government organization, including regional president, and also the 2 city heads, where also is part of the participation. So we will also follow, the consultation process that has been used in the VNR process. We will also use for the Doha program of action report. Already for this we have prepared, a detailed concept note. When and who will participate in the consultation, what type of data we will use. Already we have this detailed SDG framework or data framework. Already we have that data. So As you earlier, you also mentioned that this Doha program of action, it has 35 key action areas with 165 indicators, which is in Ethiopia case especially, which are highly aligned with SDG priorities and indicators. So this Doha program of action is closely aligned with, especially for our country, to sustainable development goals. So this strategy coherence allows the review team. We have also the team, that is the technical team, as well as also the steering committee, which has a mandate to oversees and give also directions. So to build on Ethiopian existing SDG data, especially the recent VNR 2025. So we will assess the progress, and we will also use for Doha program function. So we already aligned these priority areas. We describe it. What does it mean? And we align also with SDGs. So we will not have a problem, especially to prepare this report. Already we have a concept note which shows the detail, even including the detail actions, especially on the methodology part. We already identify also the methodology part. That means we plan to plan evidence narrative chain. We will follow that. That means aligning each Doha program of action pillar with actionable reform. We have different initiatives, national initiatives as a country. We will align with this Doha program of action. And the other important point is data-driven execution. That means leveraging existing, yes, already I mentioned, SDG-aligned indicators and meta data to minimize this duplication of effort. We will also use this. Already we identify in our concept note, ground analysis in validate data, like we have the VNR report. We have also currently different surveys, like expenditure, the income and expenditure survey. We have an opportunity to use that latest data. We have also DHA survey. Now it is already finalized. So our data source will be, our latest VNR report and also surveys done by Ethiopian Statistical Service. So we already identify our data sources. And finally, data assurance is also important. We believe that. So the technical committee will review this the draft report, and will give the feedback to the consultant or the team that prepared will prepare, which will be prepared this report. And then finally, DPG also, we have DPG here in Ethiopia, the development partner group. We will also present this report. Actually, we have been reported or presented to the DPG even the 2025 VNR report. So we have a plan also to present to them, and again, collecting valuable from them and incorporate those valuable point or to the report. So generally, we have me. I am a focal point for SDG as well as Africa 2063 agenda as well as the Doha program of action. So I'm just the focal point, just to coordinate those report. So it doesn't create a problem in Ethiopia. So we will facilitate use, especially coordinating the previous report or incorporated the data that's already produced, and also the process that we passed. We will also replicate in our Doha program of action report. So this is these are the points that I can raise as an experience for other countries from Ethiopia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Abtamu, for sharing the experience from Ethiopia. I think one of the key things that I took out from there is that you said the regional and global agendas are already integrated into the national 10-year vision or plan. And so it's not necessarily a very separate process. Ethiopia is not, trying to find how these things work because you've already integrated, the general commitments into your plans. You've also mentioned the fact that you would leverage heavily on the VNR data that you have collected and some of the processes that you've used for including the fact that the VNR passed through different consultations. So you already have feedback from civil society, academia, and as well the development partner group. You've also mentioned the fact that you have a concept note. So a concept note has been developed as to what the report would look like, who will participate, what the methodology for data collection would be about. And then you also mentioned the fact that you have existing SDG aligned indicators and the metadata for that. Finally, you talked about surveys, income and expenditure surveys, and other type of data that you can get within the country that would fit into the process. Thank you once again, Abtamu, for sharing this experience. And if countries, we're hearing here, but perhaps if any country has follow-up questions for any of the other we request that they get in touch with you, not just Abtamu, but any of the other people that have gotten in touch. You can reach out informally to get some additional information. All right, now before we have.
If you want, also I can share the concept note. I think it is very detailed and it shows clearly the flow of the work.
Thank you so much, Abtamu. I think that would be very useful. You can share, if you don't mind, you can share on the group chat now, or you can send to Yuxin and she can then distribute to other people afterwards. All right. Okay. All right. And then if you have any questions on data and indicators, Iman Ali, she's online. You can also write to her. I have one more question hand raised, and that is Tresford Musunda. And then after that, I'd like to invite Iman to talk about data issues. But Tresford, you have the floor, and Iman, please be ready after him. Tresford, please.
Okay, thank you for giving Zambia the floor. We thought we could briefly share the experience that we've gained so far in the process of preparing the country report. So far in terms of Zambia, we leveraged on the AU-UN joint framework in terms of cooperation, in terms of monitoring and reporting, and also advocacy and awareness. So we saw that it was coinciding more on at the same time with the preparation of the Agenda 2063. So what we did was to map the indicators for Doha and also the Agenda 2063. And then we called for a stakeholder engagement meeting where we were able to map those and also draft something. So we have a draft report in place. Based on the stakeholder engagement that we had, how the sectors were responding to the indicators. So that is what we had. So within that stakeholder engagement, we had support from the UN, leveraging on the same joint framework of having two agendas, one framework. So the RCO's office gave us the support that we needed. And also they are also giving us the support to have a validation meeting with the stakeholders that we have. So we've worked with the sectors, we've worked with some selected research institutions, and also the National Statistical Office. So that is the case of Zambia for now. So the next, about next week, we're doing some validations. So now the validations are twofold. There's those validation at the national level, and also we have also included sub-national level stakeholder engagement. At least we are going in 2 provinces. That's I submit for Zambia.
Thank you very much, Tresford, for sharing the experiences of Zambia. You noted that it coincided with the Agenda 2063 reporting. You've noted the support from the UN through the RCO. You've noted the stakeholder engagement meeting and also the stakeholder validation that will be coming up. And the fact that you're working at both national and sub-national levels purposes, and definitely working with the statistical office. Can I ask a follow-up question? You said it coincided with the Agenda 2063 report, and you mapped the different indicators where you saw the overlay. So was Zambia then writing both reports side by side? So writing the Agenda 2063 and as well the Doha Program of Action. And then when you had the stakeholder engagement, was it 2 separate ones or one meeting to get information on the different indicators?
So we had 1 meeting, but receiving information on 2 reports. 1 meeting based on the mapped indicators. We wrote to the sectors. These are the indicators that we are looking for you for the Doha Program of Action. These are the indicators that we are looking for you to respond to in the Agenda 2063. So 1 meeting, but with two-pronged approach.
Fantastic. That's very helpful. So 1 meeting, but you were using it to serve 2 purposes. So instead of calling stakeholders, 2 different times, you already knew what you wanted to get, and you used 1 platform to be able to achieve your 2 goals. Excellent. That sounds really good. Okay, I do see Boka, who also wants to make an intervention. Before he comes in, I wanted to note some countries here have used the Integrated Planning and Reporting Toolkit, IPRT. For many countries, you might not know that the IPRT also now has the Doha Program of Action, which allows you to see the alignment of your national plan to Doha, to the SDGs and 3. But when the colleague from Zambia was talking about mapping the indicators, do note that we do have a mapping of the indicators for the different agendas on the IPRT. My colleague Farzana will put a link to the website. And if you don't, or if you haven't already used it in your country, or you don't have your own personal access to it, there is an explore button whereby you can click on and find the mapping where there are overlays between Doha and SDGs, Doha and Agenda 2063 that can be useful for your reporting purposes. All right, so before Iman comes, can we please have Boka Diallo? Over to you, please.
En effet, depuis l'approbation du programme pour les pays moins avancés, le Sénégal a élaboré un report de suivi.
Okay, we can't hear you properly. We can't hear you properly. You're cracking, and the interpreters can't hear you properly either. Can you please come again?
Bonjour, c'est bon.
This is much better. Thank you.
Ok, donc veuillez m'excuser de cette interférence. Comme je l'ai dit tantôt, depuis l'approbation du programme de Doha, donc le Sénégal a élaboré un rapport de suivi l'année passée. Donc, fort de cette expérience, nous avons appris que la réussite de la mise en œuvre du programme d'action de Doha repose sur une domestication réussie à travers une une appropriation nationale forte, un leadership de politique affirmé et surtout une articulation claire entre les niveaux stratégiques, sectoriels et territoriaux. Donc c'est pourquoi, pour cette année, le processus d'élaboration du rapport de programme d'action de Doha, le Sénégal a commencé par l'élaboration d'une note conceptuelle afin de définir le chronogramme des activités. Ce processus devant aboutir à la validation du rapport de suivi va se dérouler en 2 grandes phases. D'abord, la première phase, c'est l'appropriation de ce programme de Doha à travers un atelier de lancement d'ici fin novembre. Ensuite, la deuxième phase, c'est l'atelier, il y aura un atelier d'élaboration et de validation afin de s'approprier le rapport de suivi de ce programme de Doha. Maintenant, comme vous le savez, il y a un changement institutionnel au Sénégal en 2024 avec la mise en œuvre d'un référentiel national unique et cohérent, la vision Sénégal 2050, à travers une déclinaison quinquennale qui s'appelle la stratégie nationale de développement SND 2025-2029. Maintenant, l'alignement explicite de ces instruments sur les 6 domaines d'action et les 35 cibles prioritaires du programme d'action de Doha permettra de créer un cadre de planification intégré, évitant surtout les duplications entre cadres nationaux et internationaux, notamment l'agenda 2030, l'agenda 2063. Donc, la deuxième leçon apprise par rapport à l'élaboration du rapport de suivi, c'est la valeur ajoutée de la coordination institutionnelle. Donc, comme vous le savez, le pilotage conjoint assuré par le ministère de l'économie, du plan et de la coopération à travers la direction générale de la planification et des politiques économiques, avec l'appui des ministères sectoriels et du comité technique pour la mise en œuvre et le suivi de la stratégie nationale de sortie de la catégorie des paiements, va renforcer la cohérence de suivi et la qualité des données produites. Pour rappel, le Sénégal est en voie de reclassement de la catégorie des paiements et pour cela, l'autorité a pris des décisions fortes, notamment l'élaboration d'un comité de pilotage et d'un comité technique. Donc nous, dans ce cadre, le comité technique où le secrétariat est assuré par l'unité de coordination de suivi de la politique économique et qui est présidé par le directeur général de la planification des politiques économiques. Donc ce comité technique va renforcer même le ministère de l'économie dans l'élaboration de ce programme d'action de Doha. Donc ce modèle du Sénégal a montré qu'une collaboration horizontale et verticale entre l'institution centrale et les partenaires techniques est déterminante pour garantir l'exhaustivité et la fiabilité des rapports nationaux. Et pour terminer, l'expérience a montré qu'une planification plus ancrée dans les réalités locales ou territoriales permettra de mieux capter les dynamiques de terrain et d'assurer une mise en œuvre équitable entre les régions. Donc c'est pourquoi une leçon transversale importante est dans la nécessité de territorialiser davantage la planification et le suivi du programme d'action de Doha. Donc, en conclusion, ces enseignements guideront l'élaboration de ce programme d'action de Doha pour le Sénégal. Et je pense qu'il y a d'autres collègues qui sont en ligne qui peuvent compléter. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Buka from Senegal, for sharing the experience that the country has been having. You have noted that in 2024, there was an institutional change. You have emphasized the need for strong links between the different territorial levels. So for example, the regional levels and the local levels, emphasizing that in as much as you have the Doha Program of Action, a lot of the implementation would be done on the ground in the local and the regional levels. In terms of the reporting, there has been a concept note. There will be kickoff workshops, validation workshops, and there will also be different forms of consultation. Thank you so very much for that intervention. At this point, we will be moving on to Ms. Iman, who is the data specialist statistician from OHRLS. some information on how we can prepare for the national reports addressing issues of data. Iman, over to you, please. And please speak slowly so that interpretation can be able to follow properly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Banky. Good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I believe that I worked with you through ECA, and I'm really happy to work with you through Charles. This is a quick presentation giving an overview on the monitoring framework for the DPoA. Based on the DPoA mandate OHRLS in collaboration with UN system has developed a set of indicators to monitor the Doha program of action. Mainly, okay, we did like a mapping first for the Doha program of actions, the targets with the global framework like the SDGs framework in order not to add additional burden on data collection on member states. So as you know, Doha program of action has 6 priority areas, focusing on 35 key action areas and come up with 113 targets to be achieved. So for the alignment process, we started, as mentioned, to align with the SDGs, and we found that the top majority of the Doha program of action targets 72 out of the 113 targets are either SDGs targets or closely aligned with SDGs. And the DPoA is cross-cutting with 16 out of 17 SDGs goals. So for the SDGs goals, targets or the closely aligned targets, the SDGs indicators in this case were assigned to be a direct measure for DPoA targets, while for the 41 non-SDGs targets, indicators were proposed based on relevance, methodological soundness, data availability, and also feasibility of regular reporting and update. So the monitoring framework come up with 165 indicators, 133 are unique indicators. Out of them, there are 117 are SDGs indicators and 48 indicators are non-SDGs. Also, the monitoring framework could proposed measures for 112 targets, while one target is still not statistically measured. So now you can see we have around 70% of the DPoA indicators are SDGs. So for the SDGs indicators, already countries have commitment to share data on regular basis, and also metadata is available to guide the data collection and dissemination, and also to keep comparability using the same methodology and definition for each indicator. However, for the rest of indicators, which are 45 unique indicators, those indicators were selected based on, as mentioned, methodological soundness, and they are, by the way, they are not new indicators. They are already existing indicators compiled, shared by countries, and compiled by UN entities. So you can access and get access to this data for those indicators from UN entities, and we believe that also countries collect data and disseminate national data on those indicators. For the data sources, as all of you know, this is the same practice for even the VNR. Data is used either national data sources, mainly from a statistical office. Statistical office compiles data from the entire national statistical system. Data sources includes also either household surveys, like mixed DHS, budget surveys, labor force surveys, and we believe that Africa is very rich when it comes to the national surveys. The top majority of African countries conduct on regular basis the household surveys. Also, one of the data sources is agriculture and enterprise specialized surveys, census, and also administrative data from different ministries like Ministry of Health, Education, central banks. But we believe that all of this data is compiled and disseminated from the National Statistical Office. In addition to this, for simplicity and where you can find data sources for all countries in the globe, you can use the international and UN data sources and data platforms. So for the SDGs indicators, UNSD has the SDGs global database for SDGs indicators. So once you access this platform, you can get access to all data on SDGs and also metadata. In addition to this, you can also access the UN agencies specialized databases like the World Bank, FAO, UNICEF, UNESCO, ACTAD. So all of these entities has data platform, and I think those data platform, UN data platform, is very helpful, especially for the non-SDGs indicators, which represent around 30% of the indicators of the DPoA. In addition to this, the Regional Commission data platform, I had the honor actually to work with ECA in the African Center for Statistics, and ECA has one of the best data platforms called ECA Stats. So you can access also ECA Stats, where you can find data on African countries, either SDGs data, or also data in the broader categories of data topics. In addition to this, OHR list specifically for the Doha Program of Action is currently developing a data platform to host the 165 indicators on the Doha Program of Action. For the time limitation, the platform is still in the process, so it's not available now. But I believe that it will be available and shared with all of you by the beginning of next year. So those were the data sources that could be used for the national reporting. Many questions on the data gaps. Yeah, we have data gaps. Africa has data gaps. I think the latest assessment for the data availability for Africa for SDGs shows that on average, Africa has around 50% of SDGs data available. So clear data gap, this data gap, highlights the need to strengthen the national statistical system, expand the use of administrative data, regardless is the coverage, but we can use it. And I think there is huge work is done by regional commission and UN entities to support the countries for modernizing their statistical system and the administrative data. Also, as mentioned before, using the international UN data platforms could also help in this regard, and conduct regular surveys and using non-traditional data sources like big data, this kind of non-traditional data sources, and also disseminate and share on regular basis data. I want also to highlight that the best thing of using the national data, data from different household surveys, which is actually used for a high number of SDGs indicators, is that in the report there is several tables and disaggregation by residency, by wealth, by different categories. So this data highlights the disparities in the countries. As mentioned, I'm very happy to work with you, and please, if you have any question related to data sources and data gaps, please reach out to us, and we are really happy to support you on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Iman, for that presentation on the structure of the indicators that we have in the Doha Program of Action, and as well where data can be found to be used for our DPoA reviews. I would now like to open it up for any questions for Iman. As she mentioned, she'll be happy to work with. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out directly to her. But we do have time to also take questions if anyone has any follow-up questions to anything that has been mentioned here so far. Do you have any questions, any clarifications on the presentation or any other aspect of the DPoA process? All right, I don't see any hands up. It looks like we have had a rich discussion, rich conversation. I think there's been several things that have been mentioned. Best practices have been shared, lessons learned about how to go through the process. HRLS is also of countries who would still want some support, and as well the timeline that has been mentioned over and over again. In the absence of any other questions, we'll put as well the toolkit I mentioned, the IPRT. We'll put it in the webpage or on the group chat. Who wants to look at it and look at alignment between the DPoA and other agendas. But without further ado, Yuxin, do you have anything else to share, anything to mention before we hand it over to Farzana for closing remarks?
But anything to add? Just want to say that it's very helpful to hear the feedback from the from LDCs, and I'm very happy that it's you have kicked off the process. Some of you are well in advanced in this process, And then this is a very good timely meeting. And Iman, my colleague, please feel free to reach out to my colleagues in our office as well as the ECA colleagues for any additional information you need or clarifications you need. We're all here with you and to support you together with the RCO on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yuxin. And now I'll hand it over to Farzana to give the closing remarks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Banke. Thank you so much, colleagues, for the wonderful interactive discussion. I think that was the sole purpose of organizing this event, to have this platform so that we can all share knowledge, share experience, so that we can have an excellent exercise feeding into the midterm review in 2027. So Banke has actually shared some of the summaries, but listening through the interventions, I would like to highlight some of the aspects that came out quite strongly. The process of this midterm review, the importance of having high quality national reports, which will be used for developing the global synthesis, and which will also be feeding into the outcome document of the 2027 midterm review. So it goes without saying that your reports will be shaping the future for the LDCs. We have also heard interactive discussion, interactive questions, and sharing of experiences. Particularly, we have heard from countries like Uganda, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, Zambia, and Senegal, particularly sharing their experiences. And I was really impressed to see that everyone has their own tailor-made strategies based on the country priorities, which essentially speak about the country specificities. Sorry, colleagues. Colleagues, we just lost Can you hear me? We just lost power, but I am connecting from my laptop. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, then we will just continue. So we heard about the country specific strategies. So it was really heartwarming to see that country has their own approach to address the midterm review through the national reports. They have the concept note, for instance, from Ethiopia. They have the strategy for all the countries, specific consultation approach. And most importantly, I note the idea of having the synergy with not only the okay, the electricity is back, so I hope it will not echo. Okay, so most likely, most importantly, this approach of synergy, like, you know, having the national report in sync with Agenda 2063 national report, with VNR, with SDG implementation report. And I am sure this all actually feed into a concrete collective approach in sync with having a concerted approach for implementation of SDGs and implementation of Doha Program of Action. So it was really great experience having everyone on this platform together and having this reflection from national priorities, and really we can see how through this platform of peer learning, we all can learn and tailor-make our approach for the specificities of the country context and have an open dialogue for national report writing. And we also would like to convey our commitment that this is the platform. You are most welcome to reach to Yuxin from OHR LLS, to us, Banke, I am Farzana, or any one of us for any of the questions or follow-up request you may have. With that, on behalf of ECA, I would like to really thank our partners in OHRLS for organizing, co-organizing this workshop, and most importantly for the leadership in guiding the national reports drafting process and the review of the Doha Program of Action process. I would also like to thank all national focal colleagues who contributed their time and expertise today. Your insights will definitely strengthen the global synthesis report, as I mentioned at the beginning, and it will ultimately shape the Doha Program of Action implementation and the collective voice from the Global South so that we can have a concerted strategy for LDCs. I would like to also here share our full commitment to supporting the LDCs in this process. We look forward to continued collaboration in the months ahead and to work with you to ensure that the DPoA delivers meaningful progress for the world's most vulnerable countries. Let me also thank our colleagues from the conference service, our colleagues from interpretation units. Your help was crucial, and all the colleagues involved in successfully organizing this interactive event. Thank you so much, colleagues. And thank you once again, everyone, for your active engagement. And we wish you every success as you move forward with the preparation of your national reports. With that, thank you so much. We can close the session. Banke, you have any closing? Thank you so much. Yuxin, you have anything?
Yes. Thank you so much, Fazana. Thank you so much, Banky and the colleagues in ECA. Before we close, I would like to acknowledge the invaluable contribution of my colleagues here in OHLS while I was on home leave, and including the instrumental role played by Margarita Marcelino, who is extremely committed to this process and in providing the valuable financial support to all the RCOs. And signing an agreement with the UN entity is not an easy thing. It's very complicated. And this is the first time for OHLS to provide financial support to the RCOs in support of LDCs in preparing the national reports on the implementation of the DPoA. In addition to Iman's expertise on data, Minerva also provide valuable support in the development of the guidelines. It's a great teamwork on OHLS side, and as colleagues from ECA has mentioned, we are all here with you every step of the way, my dear national focal points in your preparation of the national reports. We want to see the quality submission of the reports, and we'll work together to ensure a very successful high-level midterm review to be held a year from now. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Keep us in copy. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. See you some other time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.